Now, from the Columbia Basin, your local news source, this is iFIBER One News, presented in high definition. The #1 source for real-time local news, local sports headlines, and our very own Weather Center forecast covering the entire Columbia Basin. With your iFIBER One News team, reporting news in real time as it's happening. From the iFIBER Communications HD broadcast studio in Ephrata, Washington, this is iFIBER One News, and it starts now.
Welcome to iFIBER One News. I'm Cody Johnson with news from around the Columbia Basin for Wednesday, January 9th. Tonight we report on the sentencing of 2 brothers for the gang murder of a man in Quincy and the arrest of 3 people in Moses Lake that drew the tactical response team earlier this morning. We look at the reports of a new food manufacturing company looking to locate in Moses Lake and how the state is looking at taxing us for the miles we drive. In sports, we look at the investigation report on Cougar football. Our spotlight story tonight is about a new canola plant bringing jobs to Warden. And we have the latest weather forecast for the Columbia Basin from the iFIBER One Weather Center. Our top story tonight, brothers Benjamin and Abraham Lopez were sentenced yesterday for the April 2011 murder of Adon Beltran in Quincy. Benjamin Lopez was sentenced to 15 years in prison, and Abraham Lopez was sentenced to 20 years. The brothers were found guilty of second-degree murder in December after a month-long trial. The state, represented by Grant County Prosecutor Angus Lee, requested the maximum sentence for both brothers. Lee argued that the murder was committed in broad daylight, revealing a total lack of concern for public safety. He also stated the 2 admitted gang members had shown no remorse at any point since the murder. For more on this story, you can visit us online at ifiber1.com. Several Moses Lake schools were locked down this morning while police looked for 2 men and a juvenile suspected of severely beating another man. Grant County deputies responded to an assault in the Pelican Point neighborhood south of Moses Lake near the dunes. A 41-year-old Moses Lake man received serious injuries from being beaten by the 3 men. The victim told police he was assaulted, then loaded into a car and driven to the Moses Lake sand dunes, where he did escape and got help from a nearby home. At about 7 a.m. this morning, police were told one suspect was at home in the 800 block of Grand Drive in Moses Lake. As a precaution, police notified the Moses Lake School District, Moses Lake Christian Academy, the Moses Lake Clinic, and a nearby daycare center and had them all locked down. Officers surrounded the home and the suspect came out and was arrested without incident at about 8:15 a.m. The other 2 suspects were arrested a couple of hours later, one at home on Evelyn Drive and the other one while driving. The investigation continues and the names of the suspects have not been released. For more information on the story, you can visit us again online at ifiber1.com. More jobs are coming to Moses Lake. An international food ingredient manufacturer is planning to build a $30 million facility in Moses Lake this fall. The plant will reportedly employ 45 people and is expected to begin operations in September or October of this year near Randolph Road. The Grant County Economic Development Council recently applied for county funds on behalf of the unnamed company, which is listed on the application as Project Jackson. An EDC official said he could not comment on the project at this time. Grant County Commissioners approved $160,000 in loans and grants to build a sewer line to the facility to be sited on a 10-acre parcel at the Aspie Group Industrial Park. The funding application states the company chose to build in Grant County over 2 other locations outside the United States. Moses Lake City Council is still in the process of researching the costs associated with replacing trees in the downtown area. The issue was on the agenda last night but was not discussed by the council. But Councilmember Karen Liebrecht spoke about her views on replacing the trees.
They currently are a hazard, and perhaps something should be done immediately to either cut the tree down so it doesn't cause further damage or injuries to someone. And they also were concerned about the city perhaps being in violation of their own codes because they are a hazard. And so they were concerned that this is an ongoing issue, that the vegetation is actually a hazard to the community. So I'm still hoping that we can possibly address this at retreat and come up with some better long-term solutions that still keep our city beautiful. So in hopes that we can do that.
A woman at a Moses Lake care facility was burned on Monday when her hair caught fire. The 39-year-old woman who lives at Directions in Community Living was reportedly attempting to light a cigarette when her hair caught fire. It caused burns on her left hand, neck, and cheek. Grant County Sheriff's deputies responded to the incident, which was initially reported as an explosion. The woman was transported to Samaritan Hospital for treatment. The Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife netted 3 people, and they decided to keep them. Fish and Wildlife officers found 3 men using a net at the opening of a feeder canal on Banks Lake. 5 officers set up a nighttime patrol on the north end of the lake where rampant netting and snagging occur. One officer reportedly observed a small vessel moving across the lake without navigation lights. The boat pulled up to a log boom where 3 men deployed a long gill net. Officers watched them for about an hour and a half before stopping the men. The search of the boat reportedly revealed 50 large whitefish and a long gill net with homemade floats, which was seized along with their 14-foot boat. 2 of the fishermen were booked into Grant County Jail on unspecified charges. Each of the people you see here have warrants for their arrest and are wanted by various law enforcement agencies. If you see any of these individuals, the DOC asks that you not attempt to detain or apprehend them, but to call police. You can also call the Department of Corrections at 509-764-6180 during the day or 509-762-1160 after 5 p.m. We'll be right back after these messages with the latest from the iFIBER 1 Weather Center, and we'll have some more sports and news.